Hello there folks and welcome to part 74 of our near Robertson pro career on Snooker 19 and part 5 of the new season in the career mode. But really it doesn't seem like a new season because 5 parts in we're already into the Shanghai Masters. Not the best start to our season whatsoever. Now last episode out we did go out to, who was it now? Yes, it was John Higgins of course in the 4th round of the Portland Classic at the last 16 stage. We've only played one more tournament this year and that was the Riga Masters. We went out to Yanbing Tao in the last 16 in that tournament. So I felt we've got to play in the Shanghai Masters. I was going to play in it anyway. But playing the Shanghai Masters, we're playing against Ryan Day today. We'll be starting the first session of 2. We'll be playing the first 5 frames and then play whatever is remaining on Wednesday at 6 PM. So if you guys aren't subscribed and have the notification bell turned on, I recommend you do that so that on Wednesday you pick that up. But this is a brilliant opportunity to get into our game this season, get focused, and then really get focused for those big tournaments coming up after this. We have the English Open, the Oppo International Championships, the Champion of Champions, Northern Ireland, UK, Scottish, and that just takes you up to Christmas, and we have some big tournaments coming round that we're going to be playing in tournament after tournament after tournament. It's not like this start of the season where you can skip a few tournaments, the Yushan World Open, the Indian Open, the China Championships without really bothering. You've got to play in these big tournaments, and we have a big issue with the fact that Kyron Wilson and Ding Junhui are very, very, very close behind us, and we could drop out of the top 8 in a career mode where we're really looking to get into that top 5. And as you can see, Ronnie, I mean, he's just dropped to 5th, which is amazing. Those top 5 all on $1 million in terms of prize money. And of course, that will chop and change throughout this season when certain events come off in terms of the prize money. But still, at the moment, that top 5. And even John Higgins in 6th, looking a long, long way away. But in this event last year, we played against Sean Murphy. We lost 3-2. We played a shorter frame format. We played in the best of 5. But this year we're playing in the best of 11. So it's the first player to win 6 frames. We've played Ryan Day once. We played him once last year in the Champion of Champions. I hadn't actually looked this up, but I think seem to remember we definitely beat him. I think it was 3-2 we beat him by. But as I've said, an invitational event. The Shanghai Masters, always interesting. And I've just realised that we're not recording in 60 FPS. That would have been a crime if we hadn't recorded in 60 frames per second. You guys would have been, well, robbed of half of the frame rate. But this looking a little bit nicer. Of course, the first time I'm playing the Shanghai Masters on a new patch. It's been a long time since we played here, and the arena looked very nice. And Ryan Day made the first break in the first frame. As I've said, we're just going to play the 5 frames today. We'll have a clear leader. It'll either be 3-2, 4-1, or 5-0. It can only go in those three occurrences. I would like to be 4-1 up, that'd be great, but I'd certainly take 3-2, and if we are behind, then we're behind. We can't do too much about that, but just a soft safety on that on the red that was hanging out a little bit. We didn't need to do too much there to get ourselves safe. A little bit harder would have done, and if we would have played it a bit harder, it would have been interesting to see if we could get up to that yellow, and we've paid for it a little bit because there was around one red that did hang out a little bit, and Ryan Day has the first pot in the first frame. And he follows that up just with a brown. I didn't quite think he'd follow that up. But ultimately, he's not played anything too aggressive there, too harmful. So he's just going to play into the reds, I can imagine. But that's a peculiar one. This has to go right for him in terms of being up the bulk, because he's left a lot of reds open. And really, he has left a lot of reds open. So that's not worked for Ryan Day. A very bizarre shot choice. I mean, he's got to hope. Yes, I think we'll pot this. Our potting game's always been decent. But he's got to hope that we get stuck in the reds. And that doesn't look like we've happened. We've just played that nice and hard. It can't be confirmed till this ball stops. But I think we are just about okay for the moment. So a real big opportunity been given by Ryan Day in this opening frame straight away. And it'll be interesting to see how this develops now. But we're not going to play this too hard. Don't want to move it too much. But there are plenty of opportunities available, so it increases the margin that we have for error, which is nice. But that being said, I thought that red would have been more readily available, but of course there's the reds hanging over there. So it's going to have to be this red, which is a little bit trickier in terms of the angle. That makes it a little bit awkward to get past these reds that are on the bottom cushion. But we'll get away with it, I think. Well, it's actually the top cushion, is it? Of course, it's the bulk cushion that's the bottom cushion of the table. So on the bottom cushion. Now, will that blue go? Not quite. So we're going to have to play the green here again, which I'm not that comfortable in doing, seeing as it didn't really go right last time in terms of position. We got a little bit fortunate, but that's the only shot we can play, and if we touch the brown, we haven't. That's okay. But yeah, not, I mean, ideal position, really. I mean, will this red go past? Yeah, it will. So, fair enough. I suppose it is good position. But what I'm going to do straight away is just screw straight back for this pink and get that out of the way. But we just need to focus with pot this first. We do make too many concessions when there's a red hanging over the pocket, but that's absolutely fine. And we can move on to getting the black done and get that back on its spot. But a big risk taken really by Ryan Day. I don't know why he opened the reds up that much. I just thought he was going to play a simple safety into the reds, which I think everybody would have expected, to be honest. But that really didn't work out for Ryan Day. So here we are, and we've got a big opportunity now and go and win the first frame. And as I've said, this is what this event's all about, giving us good experience, making good decisions, and there's a little bit less pressure, I'd argue, to make good decisions, because if we go out at this stage, yes, it'd be the shame, but does it really matter that much? A little bit of a curved shot on the blue, but we've got that absolutely fine, about the right pace, and the break continues. And we're just going to play this straight shot on the red. But after this red, we might have to look at changing things up a little bit, because it could start to get a little bit awkward, because these reds are very, very crowded down the table. So we might have to look with this blue, hence why we played it a little bit of an angle, just open up one or two reds here. Play with some top. Touch the end red, that should cannon into the other few, I'd think, and hopefully we get a good position. But that's one of the things that can happen, and it's usually a red that we pot and get an illegal pot, but it's the pink that's gone in. But I think, actually, we've got away with that. Because, yeah, it's only going to be a safety that Ryan Day can play. Time will tell whether we've truly got away with this. In terms of if it's a snooker that Ryan Day gets, etc. But that is a very good shot from Ryan Day, a very handy one. And we face the same problem, of course, that Ryan faced earlier. It's obvious that it's always going to be the facer that face that problem. Just interesting seeing when we can get side on this red or not. Whether we can get a potting angle on it. Because that's a tempting angle, to be honest. But we have to get it just right. And I think this is probably worth the risk. So we've got to hit this exactly the right speed to ensure the pot. But I think this is probably the best shot we can play. No, too soft. It's a little bit of a shame. Does it leave anything on? Yes, it does leave a few reds, which is a little bit of a shame, but it's all about risk and reward sometimes. Definitely is.
Not an easy one, but
which is what playing that red was. Okay, we might have played it a little bit hard. The blue that was, sorry, the blue into the reds. Yes, it might have been a little bit hard, but that's the risk you take sometimes, and sometimes it pays off and you can get a century from it, or sometimes it goes like that and you cannon into a red, a pink, another ball, whatever it might be, and you pot it and that's it. And your opponent gets back on the table, and then luck kind of either goes to you or against you in terms of how much the red splits, and therefore how much of an opportunity your opponent is given.
Nicely onto the pink.
I'd guess Ryan Day would win the frame from here now. Can't guarantee it, but he might win the frame from here, which again is a little bit of a shame, a bit of another frame given away, and we seem to be doing that quite a bit recently. And especially in the shorter format, best of 5, that can be a real killer. Giving away, let's say, even one frame. That can be pivotal between it being 3-2 to you or 3-2 to the opponent. Apologies if I'm slurping a little bit, by the way. I have got a cup of tea.
16.
But I will try and keep fairly quiet on that front. Good pot, though, on that red. It was a little bit tight.
No problems with the rest.
But let's see what he does here. Again, it's quite tight, this frame. There's 5 reds to play for, so as I always say, it can be a very tight frame, and it can swing a long way.
22.
But Ryan Day, good player in his own right. Not the fiercest of opponents, but certainly capable of pulling off a result. I think what people don't realise is that really ranking doesn't mean a thing in this game. Especially, I mean, I know John Higgins beat us last time, but we've got a very good record against someone like John Higgins, whereas against someone like Yan Bingtao, we've got an awful record, and their ranking differs massively. It's just their playing style and how whether we can beat their playing style. But this is a little bit of a tight pot, but he's got it. 18 points to the gap with 3 reds to go. So again, very tight. And it all depends whether he... I mean, he should get this red, but it's a little bit tight, so he might decide not to go for it. Looks like he is, though, by that angle. But the crucial bit is here, is that these 2 reds are going to be very tricky to get to, and I think he's just opting for a safety here, which I don't blame him for doing.
Ryan Day, 35.
That's a pretty handy safety. We can get to the edge of this red, of course, but as I said, a pretty handy safety from Ryan Day.
Pace will be very important.
I mean, ideally, this just touches the red and goes behind the yellow, but it doesn't usually happen like that. But it's come off the jaw of the middle pocket, which might be a bit of a godsend to us, actually. He can't get to the second red, so he's only got one option, so that helps out a little bit. That's a little bit thicker than I think he would have liked. And let's see what the chance is here. I mean, there's a chance on both of these, but this one's probably the best one to go for. They're both half chances, so we're going to have to bear that in mind and just play this a little bit harder than we'd want to, just so we can get safe. But it's there. Well, as I said, in a frame where we thought Ryan Day could do it, but it wasn't all over necessarily, and the look, really, the frame depended on the red. It seems that it's not all over. But that being said, I've said it's not all over. That doesn't mean it might not necessarily go in our favour. But that is pretty neat position for that red. That'll do me. Still got to pot it, which we do. And we end up quite nicely on the bottom cushion for this black. But what I will say, and what I haven't really thought about here, is that there's not really much in terms of a position for the yellow that's in prospect. So we're going to play the pink here. A bit of a risky pot, I'm aware. But I just think if we pot the pink, we've got a much better chance at potting the yellow. But that was quite a bit off.
Not quite. Pretty close though.
But we have got a bit of solace here in that I think the pink does block the yellow from getting in the pocket. No, it doesn't actually. No, I thought it did. But it doesn't. So, in a risky move there that we should not really have taken, to be quite honest, we could have just played a safety. Or just got the black and just played the safety on the yellow. But we were a bit greedy. It happens sometimes. And again, we need to nip those little things in the bud. Because I think those are the little things that are ruining our game at the moment. Bad decisions that we're making. But nevertheless, Ryan Day takes a one-frame lead. You've got to look at it that he probably would have done anyway, but a little bit disappointing. We did get a chance, and really we didn't take it to the best of our ability. So we'll just concede there. There's no point carrying on with 37 points behind, and a black that's impossible to pot. And Ryan Day takes the first frame in this Shanghai Masters last 16 match. Good frame, that was a little bit cagey. It's us to break in this one, of course, now, so a little bit thicker. We've gone for a little bit of a different break, you'll notice. I mean, that's probably too hard now. But we have started to go for something a little bit different. In the start of the series, we went for something that was very, very cagey. A really soft break, really thin on the reds. But did tend to leave a red potentially open. But these harder breaks tend to get it a little bit more up to bulk, and they're a little bit of a better break, in my opinion. But an interesting shot there. Get to the edge of these reds, just all about angle and whether we can get this right. It's going to make this a little bit harder than we'd want to, which means the angle also needs to be, well, not the angle, the shot percentage, the thickness needs to be a little bit more. We might not get away with that. I didn't realise my iPad was still on. I'll go and silence that now. But it looks like Ryan Day's got a chance here.
Attempting to sink this into the left corner pocket.
Would you believe it?
I don't see how that was. I don't know why the Gmail thing came through because my iPad wasn't on silent, but there's no notification there, so spooky things going on. But what I'm just seeing, which I wasn't really looking at, admittedly, it seems Ryan Day snookered himself, and that wasn't the best shot for him to take at all. So we've got an opportunity to pot a red, which we will do quite happily. That's a good pot. And we'll get back up the table. Again, that would have been pretty safe if we hadn't have potted it. We're just going to look at where we develop this break from here, which is one of our stronger assets. We can play a little bit of top here and, well, we could do is play some, play some backspin actually. And try and get on one of these two reds that's hanging out a little bit on the other side. I just like playing with that because it just reduces the amount of risk. I don't like playing with top because ultimately it's not quite in your hands. With a bit of bottom, a bit of backspin, you can try and control the ball and it's quite visible what it's going to do from the line of the cue ball. But we're not really, well, do we try this again? I mean, it's not quite the right line to do it this time. So we're okay in terms of the fact if we hit these, we're only going to tap them and hopefully not cannon anything in, I wouldn't have thought. But at least it opens up the reds a little bit more. And that's probably a better way to do it, actually. But let's have a look at the potting opportunities, because we might not have one, but we do. That's great. But again, backspin. Probably get on the blue. But after the last frame, this is one we have to win. I mean, that was a poor shot, really, there. 13. Cannon into the red. We didn't account for that. But this is a frame we have to win. I don't really think we can let Ryan Day go 2 ahead. Now, that's overplayed a little bit, so will that make a difference on overscrewing for the ball we were going for? No, it doesn't. Now, you might question why I haven't gone for the ball that's a little bit freer, a little bit straighter, a little bit easier, but it leaves another option. It leaves a better option for when we've played the blue now. And just in case we muck this up, it just leaves a little bit of a better option that we can take. And that's the option I think we will take. So giving yourself options, opening things up, is probably the best thing you can do. But in fact, I've just seen that this red's pretty nice and pretty straight, and might give us an opportunity to open up the reds again. So we'll take that and just tap a few reds. Get neatly black back up the table a little bit. Granted, the potting angle on a colour's not brilliant, but I'd say that's the price you pay for having a good split there. But we're going to risk this. We don't do that too often, but we're going to risk potting that into the middle, which was a nice pot. And this could give us half decent position. Admittedly, we've gone a little bit over there, which isn't great. This could be a little bit of a problem with these 2 reds being straight ahead, and it is really. But I think we might just play up to the red. I think if we just play up to this red, I don't know if it's going to hurt too much.
Not really the result he was after.
No, it's not,
Robertson.
but I didn't fancy taking that one on, and Ryan Day did, and he got it wrong, so that was a risk worth taking. Other players would have gone for that. I understand that was pretty risky from us, because other players could have gone for that and sunk it and won the frame from there. But it was a calculated risk. I didn't fancy going for it. Ryan Day did, he missed it, and we just get a second chance now. Well, a second chance, I must add, that really we have to take. There aren't many frames, against top players anyway, like Ryan Day, that you get a second chance, so it's imperative we take them. We don't want to look like a mug. And the most important thing is that we don't want to let Ryan Day get away with it. That's the most important thing, I'd say. You don't want to let him get away with thinking, oh, I've made a mistake, I got away with that. You want him to suffer for his mistake, and the pink's been opened quite nicely there. Got to bear in mind it was back on its spot next, which we fell foul to plenty of times. Gone, oh, there's a nice chance there, and oh dear, we've snookered ourselves. Yeah, it's not the best, that isn't. Not the best feeling in the world. But again, we're going to come back up the tail for the blue. Get that back on its spot, because it can be a little bit awkward if it gets off its spot slightly. Of course, that was caused by the pink cannoning into that. And playing a little bit of a straighter pot just allows us to get a little bit better position, I would argue. And we'll sort this red by the pink out now. Just to get rid of that. Avoid any problem in the future.
19.
But as I've said, I think that our potting game is pretty neat. You know, if we get in the right positions, you can pot. But then, if you think about it, anybody can do that. Don't set yourself apart from anybody if you can do that. The real testing thing is whether you can do it in the long game, and the long game is all about safety and positional shots and doing that consistently as well. We can do that, but consistency is really the big problem. I'm happy to admit that. But this event does give us a big chance, I would say, just to nip that in the bud. Because there's no pressure on it. I'm not putting any pressure on myself. Again, this is more of an exhibition event for me. If we won it, great. If we went out of it here, oh well. But it's an event with, for me anyway, no pressure at all. And we can just do whatever we want. Try some new strategies. And see how we get on. We're going to cannon into this red, because I appreciate that we've mucked this up a little bit in terms of position.
That should mean no way back into this frame for his opponent.
But the frame's pretty much over, so that's absolutely fine. And because the frame is pretty much over, we can probably risk going for this very, very tight red.
no more than half a chance here.
These are no more than half a chance. Well, it was pretty close, but it's not there.
Neil Robertson.
And he can go for this, yes, I appreciate he's probably got the room to get into a snooker, but it hasn't worked out for him this time, and to our great heed, it looks like it's going to be a second frame to us, so it's one each. And that just means that Ryan Day doesn't pull away too much, and as I said, if that had happened, it would have been pretty fatal. No real way of getting into these reds, so we're not going to play with any side if we don't need to. But we will play with some top, just try and come off the cushion and do something. But if we can't, the gap will be more than big enough. Then we could just play into the reds and say, well, there you go, Ryan, you can concede the frame now.
7.
But a good frame of snooker from us. I think I know that I'm capable of that. Always have been in this career mode. It's, as I've said time and time again, and I've said it just in that frame, it's all about doing it consistently.
Neil Robertson.
And that is the frame. Well played.
So it's one each now, 2 frames gone, third one in.
This is developing into a really tight match.
Let's hope we can take the advantage in these next 3 frames.
Ryan Day to
As I've said, a lead of 3-2 would be nice going into that 6th frame. Lead of 4-1 would be even better. Winning 4 on the bounce, that would be a nice confidence booster. But if we don't, we don't, and we just have to deal with whatever the situation is. Now, we're going to try something a little bit different. As I said, there's not much pressure involved in this tournament. We're going to play the red very hard and try and open up the reds. And that is a nice split. You don't tend to get that sort of luck from a first shot.
1.
But of course, it is all about from there, making sure that you reap the rewards of what you've created and make sure it's not your opponent. Again, that's happened plenty of times to us. And it's like the motorbike show out there. It's Sunday night I'm recording this time, so you can't accuse me of recording it on a Saturday morning when all hell breaks loose.
Well, he's taking it on to the left corner.
It's a nice pot. Before I go for that one, get that one out of the way. And plus the fact, as I've just said, you can control the spin a lot better. Definitely. I just prefer plain backspin. You'll see now there's top on it, and you can't really regulate it, whereas with backspin, you can just make sure the cue ball lines up in a certain area, and it won't go too wrong unless you look up the spin, which we have done you can see the risks haven't really been ultimately that big. I've got to get out of here, though, so we've got to play some fair power. Just to make sure we can get out of there, and actually that hit on the middle jaw has paid off quite nicely, because it opens up the blue to the middle. We can open up these reds a little bit more now. But just play it with no top, just get into the reds. And that is a beautiful split. As I said, it was like the first frame. That could have worked out like that very easily. Or it could have gone to the dogs. Which it did. No doubt about that one. But with the pink being off its spot, the pink is the most troublesome ball, I would say, from my experience. Especially if you just open up the reds, because it's the one that can block the reds the most. The black's not really a problem. You can play with the black out of the way. But the pink's a more imperative ball, I'd say, for me.
25.
Plus the fact it's that backup, isn't it? It's that constant backup you've got down the table. You know, if you play a bad shot, say if I was playing for the black, which I wasn't, if you're playing for the black like that and you think, oh dear, I'm out of position, you can consult the pink, and if that pink's not there, you think, oh dear.
He's lining this up into the left centre pocket.
That's why I don't think the black matters as much in the context of a frame. It's great to get on the black, but as I've said, I don't think it matters as much. It's not as imperative to be there. And that's why if the black's out of play, we can sometimes survive. Just got to be careful about touching this this red. So it might just be better to get a weaker angle on the pink, but just make sure that we don't touch the red on the way through, because that can muck up the angle altogether. Well, actually, that angle's more than fine. It's all about playing a bit of tight snooker when you're in this position.
39.
The red's all fairly close together. Which means that if you under or over screw something, that it can be pretty bad. I don't know what this has turned into a how to snooker video, but guess it doesn't hurt to occasionally go through my thought processes rather than talking about trivial rubbish while we have a break.
46.
But this is a good break so far. It's all about, I think, just getting into that mode. Making sure we can do this, well, not every frame, because nobody can do this every frame. Because a degree of it comes down to luck, and other elements that are involved, of course. Just try and move those, but not too much. Oh, thank God that's just hung over the pocket. But within that, we've got another problem now.
53.
That we've mucked this up a little bit. Yes, it's a 53. I mean, will this red go? Will it pass the... I mean, I presume it will. It's got to, hasn't it?
He just wants to ensure he gets this cue ball tight to the cushion with the shot.
Will the red that's straight in front of us pass the other red and go into the pocket? I mean, is there room there? Possibly. I don't know if it's worth the risk.
Well, it's fair to say he's taking his time over this.
Oh, shut up. I think because of the lack of other options, I think we're going to try it. No? Okay, fair enough.
Neil Robertson, 53.
Not the best break, not a frame-winning break. You just have to try that sort of thing sometimes, because sometimes your judgment can be impaired a little bit and you can get it wrong. But certainly not the best situation for Ryan Day to be, and that's why I gave that up a little bit.
7.
Because I knew it wasn't going to be plain sailing for him to win the frame. That can be said. That being said, he can get a massive break now and it'd be sayonara for us winning the third frame. It's just the risk you take. That could have gone in and we'd be like, well, we're alright, we're fine. I think it's the two reds on the opposite cushion he might struggle with a little bit.
31. 28.
But no, that's a good shot, to be fair.
Tough shot coming up.
Oh, blimey, that is a tough shot. I'd have never gone for that in my life. But he's pulled that off with relative ease. Still 24 points is the gap, though. There's still plenty of time for him to make a mistake. But when it gets down to the colours, it's really one of these reds that he could mess up.
37.
Which is a possible... Let's have a look at what position he plays here.
44.
Possible for him to make a mistake. It's not the easiest angle.
Left corner pocket.
But no, it's there.
46.
And I think it's pretty rare when you get down to the colours that a player makes a mistake. It's not impossible, but it's pretty rare. Well, breaker 52 so far. Ryan Day now going into the colours. Gets ahead with that yellow. But especially the AI. I'm guilty of it, but the AI don't tend to make a mistake when they get into the colours.
57.
But he's 8 ahead. This will make sure this blue will, that we can only win for a respot. That pink looks in pretty good position, so it'll take a bit of a howler for him to miss that.
Ball now.
And you could say we've given the third frame away there a little bit. Through not being a play in a safety.
79.
And Ryan Day's 2-1 up now, so a little bit of a shame. A little bit of a pain in the backside.
He's got a one frame advantage now.
And we just got to hope that we get in that position again and that we can get it right.
Thank you.
Because again, we don't really want Ryan taking a two-frame advantage here. I mean, that's... The last one was a little bit too less in terms of the power, but that one was a little bit... well, you know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. But, oh, that's very close to the pocket there. But again, it seems all the AI do this. They all like to give you a nice opportunity on an opening red. I don't know if it's something I'm missing, that they think, well, it's worth the risk, or what. Because I don't get it. Because sometimes, as long as you play well, you can use that opportunity really nicely. A little bit harder would have been nice there, just to get into this blue a little bit easier. But albeit we have to play that. And there's one red hanging out. That's why I've played that soft.
6.
Get that red. And now focus on the black, because that's something we don't do enough.
He's playing for the right corner here.
We don't quite focus on getting to the black enough. But that's going to be a little bit of a stinker. We can try and well, we can't, can we? No.
7.
So we can try and get into the reds courtesy of the cushion. But it's not going to happen dramatically.
About that.
14.
Well, that's how it is. We're touching ball.
Touching
Just
ball.
got to play away from this one. Just play on the cushion, and that should be fine as far as I'm concerned.
Neil Robertson.
Yep, okay. Well, it's 14 points. 14 points more than we had at the start of the frame. I'm not going to complain about that. Nice shot from Ryan Day there. We just play this thin, though. And just do an up and down the table job. Could do with this missing the yellow. But it's hit it. Oh, well, I mean, if that went a little bit further, that could be very nice. I'm blocking any access to the reds through the brown, but albeit we haven't. And he's just played thin on that red. I thought there was a chance he could go into that pocket there. And I think he did take that chance, I don't think that was a safety, because it seemed perilously close. Perilously, if I can get my words out right. Perilously close, I can't say that word still, to the pocket. And it'd be a little bit of a wacky chance at a safety. But that is a very nice shot. Unfortunately, though, we've got a little bit of a simulation? A similar situation. Tried to say similar and situation in the same word, which is a bit ridiculous. But yeah, not the best shot there, I'll admit. Is there any traction on getting this red? No, there's not. Okay, fair enough. Some frames are like this. As I said, every frame's not century after century. That's a pretty decent safety though. Cuts off any potable access anyway.
I think he's playing safe here.
But much like in motorsport, track position is all that matters, and really here the lead's all that matters, I would say. Can't quite get to the other side of these reds, so it's going to have to be a little bit of a thicker shot here, which I'm not too happy about having to play. Don't hit the blue. Oh, I mean, that could be a bit of a good luck charm, but it's really not.
Could have played that better.
Yeah, he could have done. I sense a little bit of sarcasm there. But let's see how much damage this takes. I'm aware this strategy has come to naught, really, of not really caring about this because, again, we made a few silly decisions. But it's so hard to make the right decision sometimes, because what you think is the right decision, it sometimes isn't. I mean, that's a little bit of a careless shot. I mean, that's brave on that yellow. That's just unworldly to pot that from that angle, in my view.
He's going for the left corner.
That's crazy. But he's missed the red. Who would have saw that coming? After potting that yellow, it's from the... What does my good friend Captain Goodspeed say in his videos? From the outstanding to the ridiculous or something. From the sublime to the ridiculous. And that really was from the sublime to the ridiculous. I'm going to play a bit of a safety and pot shot in one here. But we've got the pot.
Well, that's just outstanding. Superb pot.
And we wouldn't have really got the safety, to be honest. But that's nicely positioned on the brown. And yeah, we can have a real whack at trying to open up these reds here, which is a risk. I know it's a strategy that hasn't worked before. But this is very much up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down the table again. But that's a very nice position and one that we can definitely profit from. And we can give this a go at trying to win the frame in this visit and bring it back to 2 each, going into that 5th frame. Which will, of course, be the final frame of the episode. But looking at times so far, it seems to have been pretty quick flowing play, which is great. One of the things that happens sometimes is that, especially in those 5 frame matches, there can be a lot of dawdling, especially if it's really tight frames. But there's been some decent breaks so far. It's not all come gradually. I mean, this frame's been the most gradual that a frame has been so far, I would say, in terms of the scoring being a little bit delayed. But yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We can live with that. I'm going to try and tap these few reds here. Try and get them moved.
What a tremendous pot. And
we move the pink more than those, and the cue ball travels with it. So we get a little bit of a lifeline. We would have had to gone up to bulk else, and that's not something that I don't think any of us like to do. If we don't have to, that is. But this is a little bit of a tricky positional shot. Especially now we've cannoned into that red. That's nasty. Oh, wow. That's a nasty shot we've got to play now. But we've got to play it.
He's playing the pot here.
It's so tricky to tell the angle. It really is, but that looks about right to me. I mean, it looks about right again, and it's there. Sometimes it's done it several times. It's gone horribly wrong, that sort of pot, as it really has. And it's been miles off. But that occasion, it couldn't have been sweeter. And that sort of shot, as it proved in the last frame, and as I think it will prove in this frame, can really be pivotal to how a frame's decided. This is a little bit of a stupid shot, I'll admit, because of the risk it entails. But it's there.
Great shot.
Position looks pretty good to me.
And now we've got a chance, as I've said before, to really close this frame out.
29.
And a good episode of Snooker, I think. A good quality of Snooker. Because, again, sometimes that, especially in those matches where it's a bit cagey, the quality of Snooker can be quite poor. But I think here it's been pretty good. Here's the Shanghai Masters at the end of the day. A little bit of a bigger tournament that we've played in so far.
37.
No doubt it's the biggest of the season.
Just this
So
pink
it's
now.
bound to be. But I think he's just said just this pink needed. That is a little bit close to the pocket though. In fact, God, it touched the jaw. Because that could have been curtains for us. We've got to play a nasty shot here. I don't like these. Really don't. But we're going to give it a go.
He's tempted by this red.
No, the line's just off. I mean, I might be wrong. It might just bounce in here. It has, wow. Well, we don't usually get those shots go right for us at all, but that's a nice pot there. Again, playing with side here is going to be awkward, so... Just get a lot of backspin and hope for the best.
Playing this with a lot of power.
But as I've said, the frame's pretty much over. 55 points to the gap. This more confirms that we get more than a gap. And again, gives a potable angle, I would argue, on this red.
46.
I think undoubtedly as well, you get through these frames a lot quicker playing in longer matches. Because of course they're not as pivotal to the score. That's a good pot, by the way. They're not as pivotal to the actual match score. In terms of the next frame would be huge because it's a decider and you get very cagey. But it still could be very cagey, you don't know. But we're going to try and clear up here. Something we don't do very often anymore because of video restrictions for time, really. We think, well, let's just leave frame. But I think here it'd be a good chance to show... Well, it's potting practice at the end of the day. Although that black is going to be tricky to pot.
54.
So we might leave it.
He's going for the left centre here.
Get the pink across the cushions. Need that to pull up actually quite a bit. But it's okay. That'll do. If it was the blue that we'd just potted, that would have been suicidal. But
Just the colours remaining.
it's okay.
Down it
Oh,
goes.
well. Yellow just about went in. And a cannon with the blue really helped there. That was a real bit of fortune.
This is being played towards the left middle pocket.
Nice pot. Angle on the brown's a little bit tricky, admittedly.
65.
Didn't quite think we'd be this far back.
Well, he's taking it on.
Good
No
pot.
problem there.
Angle on the blue again, a little bit precarious. It's not quite perfect
69.
by any means. Give it a go though. And it's there. And again, angle on pink isn't great as a result, but once again we can go for it. Never going to hurt.
This is a half chance.
It is a half chance. And it's there.
Technique.
And the position for this black is very tricky, considering it's on the cushion as well. If black was on its spot, it'd be fine. But because we moved that early, it makes this start a little bit trickier.
Taking it on.
But still a good break of 80 if we don't pot this. And even better that we had potted it. Very rare that you do pot a colour. Well, any ball really. If it's touched both jaws. But we got the look of the green there. The look of the jaw certainly. And with a break of 87, we make it 2-2. Cagey match so far, but a good one.
Into a very tight match. Both players refusing to give any ground.
And hopefully, as I've said since the start,
No obvious advantage.
we're the player that leaves this first session of 2
Close.
leading the match.
Thank you. The fifth frame.
Just requiring 3 frames then out of the next 6. to win the match. Which actually doesn't sound like a lot, but think about if we were behind, we'd need 4 of those 6, and you can't give your opponent too many opportunities then.
This is not easy.
Just checking this does go in.
That's a good opening red.
And yeah, we played some top on the black. Any harder and that would have been a pretty nasty one, but we can actually properly get into the reds. This is more like the angle we want.
Looking to play this with a lot of power.
Black's there.
It looks good to me.
Red's nicely split. Get a second split there. But actually, it's a little bit of a tricky pot we've got to face now. Let's say we're best plumbing for this one, unless we take one of these to the middle, which might be a better opportunity, I'd say.
He's going for the right centre pocket here.
And it's there. Hopefully that pink to middle goes. I'd quite like having a butchers at that, which I think it does. Yep, it does, just fine. Again, we can get a third split on the reds. Don't want to push our luck too much.
No, that's a bit careless.
And that's exactly what we've just done. Well, I said I don't want to push my luck too much, but that's cannon straight into the bottom right pocket.
Foul. Neil Robertson. Ryan Day.
Those things happen, but as I've said, we were pushing our luck. I said it before we even played the shot. I was preempting what was going to happen, but I could tell from that wasn't going to go in. So that's a peculiar shot, to say the least, from Ryan Day. It really was. Which just gives us another chance. Again, against somebody, I know I said Ryan Day's a good player, but against a real creme de la creme player, would that have gone in? I would suggest yes, it would. Which does beg the question, have we got away with that? Yes, definitely. A little bit tricky because we can't play any backspin off the cushion. Certainly not what we're comfortable with. But again, it's fine because there's a red available. This red up the table.
He's attempting to sink this into the left corner pocket.
That's a good pot, that'll do. Touch the yellow on the way. It's not a bad omen at all. Probably look to get the blue to the bottom pocket rather than pot the yellow.
Not an easy one, but
Not easy. Should be okay though, as it is.
That's just
And get the red. And in effect with this, with what you can get with it, I mean, it's a little bit of a tricky angle actually to get back on the blue.
12.
So we might have to go for the yellow next time out.
13.
But what that combination gives you is effectively, I like to think, about 12 3 points. I'm going to go for the yellow here. Just a little bit of a easier angle in terms of tightness and whether you can judge it. Again, it's all down to personal preference. But for me, I just prefer the yellow here. Well,
Quality we'd expect from a player of his skills.
I thought it might have been a bit tight, to be honest, but we've misjudged that ever so slightly. And Ryan Day gets another second chance at potting in this pocket. And very slightly gets the pot. I mean, that's as slight as you want. Bloody hell.
5.
Wow. And he's just about got away with that as well.
nicely done.
He's riding with his luck a little bit here. It's definitely a tight game. I mean, I've just said we've had some brilliant snooker, but the last few shots haven't quite shown the best of what we've seen today. It has to be said, but yeah, an interesting match so far. I think we can come out on top. I'm confident, especially if we play our best snooker, which is, I know it's one thing saying it and another thing doing it, but I think we have produced some good snooker today. Some sloppy snooker. And we need to improve in that second session. But that's something we can always do. I think the score will change a lot of things here. And change the way we play ultimately in the next session. If we're behind, we feel a little bit more pressure. If we're ahead, we just got that little comfort zone. But based off that very nice split, it could be Ryan Day with the advantage. But he's mucked it up before. Who's to say he won't do it again? Oh, that was very close. Really, really, really close.
Wanted that under better control, really.
39.
For some reason, I thought he was on a colour there. My maths was atrocious. Might have just only seen the one singular number. Thought, hang on, he's on six reds and 5 colours. Why is he going for a red? But that did click. But yeah, it looks like he's pretty secure in winning this frame now. And it's a little bit of a shame that we're 3-2 down at the end of play. And I can't really blame it on the fact that we've had a little bit of an experimentation period, because
55.
we could be 4-1 up. We definitely couldn't be 4-0 up. There's definitely been one frame he's deserved out of this session.
So, just
But if we
the
played in our best
here.
and been very neat about it, we'd have been 4-1 up.
Goes.
We're not, though. That's just a fantasy. That's not happened. We've played 5 frames. We can't restart those 5 frames. Start this frame. Because the option in this game is just to save. Well, it auto saves at every point, every frame. But that's the frame done. But we'll try and pot the red, as we haven't really succeeded whatsoever in that. And yes, we are 47. I'll check it's not 37 behind. Yeah, it's 47 we are behind. We'll see if he pots the red. No, he's missed that by quite a bit, so he's not interested in continuing either. So we'll concede the frame there. And at the end of the session, it is 3-2 to Ryan Day. So we'll be back on Wednesday at 6 PM for that second session of 2 to see if we can get through the last 16 stage of the Shanghai Masters. So I think we've got a fairly good chance, despite being 3-2 down against Ryan Day. I think if we can knuckle down on Wednesday and get into it, then as I say, I don't think we'll have a problem at all. But if you guys enjoyed that, make sure to slap a like down below and leave a comment on your thoughts. And also subscribe for regular Snooker 19 content. And also click any of the elements on the end screen that tickle your fancy to continue your stay here at CIJ Game. But if this is it, if you guys are leaving the channel for a little bit, then thank you very much for your company today. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye for now.